Hello planners, thank you again for tuning into my YouTube channel. Today I am going to be recording myself doing something that a lot of people view as taboo and a lot of other people view as something that you must do with your Erin Condren or any kind of coiled planner. Today I will be uncoiling my planner and making it personalized just for me. Now, to do this, you'll need a few items. You will need some tape. It can be washi tape, scotch tape, doesn't matter. Some pliers and some big binder clips. The first thing you'll do is take the scotch tape and put it around your pliers. The reason we're doing this is because we want to make sure that the coil is not damaged, especially if you have a gold, black, or rose gold coil. And that is because the coating they put on the coil could come off if you don't protect the pliers and make sure that they're not directly rubbing against the coil. Now, after you do that, you can go ahead and take off the cover, the front and back covers on your life planner, or if you have a different kind of system, that planner. So I'm going to take those off first, and now we're going to get right to business. I'm going to take the pliers and bend the coil in a way that it comes straight out. So the coil is bent inward so that the pages don't come out of the planner. I'm going to take the coil and pull it outward. So the goal is to make it as straight as possible. Now, as you can see, I'm just trying to make it so that this is straight. Sometimes one side just works better than the other. So if you find that one side isn't working as well, you might want to start with the other and vice versa. Now, this just takes a little bit of finagling. Don't be nervous about it. Take a deep breath and just try to make it as straight as possible. And when I say straight, I mean that you want it to look like all of the other coils on the inside of the coil, okay? So not literally straight, but you want it to curve in the same way as the other coils do. So that is what I'm trying to do right here. It will take a little bit of moving around. Now, with that being said, full disclosure, I have done this before with the same coil. Actually, I think I did it 2 other times. So I'm going to have a little bit of a harder time than you will because you're not going to be uncoiling yours for the 3rd or 4th time. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be watching this video because you've already done it before and you don't really need my help. With that being said, I think I got it pretty curved correctly. So I'm just going to put on these binder clips and start to uncoil. Okay. Now, like I said, don't be nervous. I haven't heard of anyone completely ruining their planner. I have never ruined my planner. And like I said, I've done it 3 times. So it should be all good. So when I first started uncoiling this planner, the problem was that the coil was turned in so much that it was snagging the pages. And so that was an issue for sure. I was like trying to figure out if I held it differently, if that would change, but it was snagging. So you'll see in the video, it's snagging the front vellum page. That I will fix later on in the video, so don't worry. I wasn't as concerned about it just because I knew that this was going to happen because I've uncoiled it so many times before. Ideally, I would not want to uncoil it this many times, just maybe once or twice, not 3 or 4 times, but I'm a little bit indecisive and that is why I've been uncoiling it so much. Either way, a little bit into the uncoiling process, I figured out how to uncoil it so that it wouldn't snag. So that's the important part, is that I figured it out and it stopped snagging. So problem solved. I wanted to show my viewers how the uncoiling process is in the beginning without any fast forwarding because I wanted you to get an idea. But now that you see how long it takes, you can always go back in the video and see. But I've gone ahead and started to fast forward the video so that I can just speed this process up and the video isn't too long. Now, this is the fun part. In this portion of the video, I will be taking the planner apart and removing the pages that I no longer want to use and adding pages that I do want to use. Specifically, I have some neutral pages that a friend gave me. So I will be taking the pages that I'm no longer using and put them away for safekeeping and keep the other pages, or add them, I should say, to go ahead and coil on my coil. This process takes a little bit of time, but if I were you, I don't know how much you write, but I would add notebook pages. That is why I do not have 12 months in my planner, because I like to make room for notebook pages. So I will also be keeping some notebook pages and then even adding more to my planner. I'm going to fast forward this process just because it is really up to you what kinds of pages you want to add. And if you're interested in seeing it, you can always kind of slow it down. But it's a little bit of a tedious process, so I'm going to speed it up. If you want to see my spreads for the months of December 2019 through March 2020, please check out the suggested video so that you can check out what I've done in my planner so far. So now that I have the planner all put together, I'm going to try to make sure that these holes are lined up correctly. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but before I get started with that, I'm going to go ahead and add some scotch tape to these pages, or this page that I ripped. So in the beginning, I mentioned that I was going to fix the fact that I kind of snagged the vellum in the beginning of the video, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm just folding over some scotch tape to kind of create a border, and then cutting it to create some type of border there so that the page doesn't slip completely out. Now I'm making sure that these pages are lined up well and that they are staying together. It's going to take a little bit of time to just make sure that they're completely lined up and completely together before I put the binder clip, and it may require me to move the binder clip a few times and readjust. It is all part of the process. I promise. The newer your pages are, the easier this will be. So if you have a brand new planner, don't feel like it's not going to work. It's actually a lot easier with a newer planner than with pages that have already been used before or turned before. So this process just takes a little bit of patience, but I promise that it's all worth it at the end. Now it's time for the big reveal, or finish, I should say. I'm going to put in this coil. I had a little bit of trouble in the beginning and had to move around those binder clips, as I mentioned before, I may have to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and shift those pages around. If you are not able to get the coil through the first time, just try again. I promise that it's worth it at the end. Don't feel like you've ruined your planner, because most likely you have not. So it just takes a little bit of moving around. I just wanted to show that this process isn't necessarily perfect, but it's worth it. And if you're really into making your planner personal and for you, it'll be worth it. Now I am finally finishing up, and the coiling process is almost complete. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I promise that it is so worth it putting this together. This me shaking my hands out because I got a little bit of a hand cramp there. It's not that easy, but it's not hard, I promise. I think it's just that I took it apart so many times. The first time I did it off camera, and it was super easy. So the more you do it, the more difficult it gets. I will say that. That's an honest review. But other than that, it's super easy the first time around. The third and the fourth time, not so much. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not something you'd want to do often, but I'd say maybe twice a year I'd be willing to uncoil and recoil. That's me shaking my hands out. I don't know why I got such a bad hand cramp, but I did. So now the pliers are going to come right back in, and you're going to take them and turn the coil in so that the pages do not get in the way of the coil or come out of the coil. So that's going to take a little bit of adjusting too, because you just got to make sure that it's bent in the right place. So you'll know when it's bent in the right place. And if you get a little gap like I did, you just turn it in kind of and play with it. The coil also bends over time. So if you end up with a little gap like that, know that it will kind of bend over time. When I first finished this video, I had a little bit of a space, but over time that space diminished and it became more like the other spaces. It wasn't as wide. So it just takes a little bit of time and patience, but it was so worth it, and it really wasn't that difficult. And it didn't take a super long time. I think total it took me about 30 minutes. And that's mostly because I'm filming. So I wanted to make sure everything was in picture as I was recording this video. With that being said, my planner is complete. Now I can add everything back to it, including the cover and the little inserts that I had in my planner. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you try to uncoil your planner or have uncoiled it in the past, make sure you comment below and tell me how that process went. And if you have any questions, make sure you comment below and I'll be happy to answer them. Please like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at Petite Planners.